just need to introduce you to Stephanie Verderose, who is one of my favorite people on the planet Earth. She is a senior coach with Workman Success System. She's been a client for years. She's run brokerages. She's been a massive recruiter. She's opened franchises. I've seen her go through all the different challenges in a marketplace that you could have as a broker owner and not just come out of them with amazing resilience, but come out better than she was when she went into any challenge in business. And it's really hard to find people that are so resilient, that look at the world through the lens of positivity that Stephanie does. Stephanie is now the vice president of growth for Fathom Realty. And it's a brand new role she's taken on, and they have no idea how lucky they are to have her. Stephanie, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much, Verl. I truly appreciate it. And yes, this is a new role, right? It's exciting stuff. But and I always love an opportunity when I get to collaborate with you. You know that. We've done this many at different times in other ways, right? So it's all good stuff. And boy, are we seeing some changes in the market nowadays, don't you think?
Well, all progress is the result of change. And if you don't have change, we can't progress. And so I wanted to pull this housing market trends report and talk about the massive opportunity that most agents are going to miss because they're waiting for something to happen. How many times have you waited for something to change, rates to drop, the class action lawsuit to end, the market to come back, and then I'll get engaged? And then you look back and there's people that are killing it and you're just getting ready to rebuild again. And like, is anybody else on the call like done sitting around waiting for the market to change and you're ready to just engage? Because that's kind of where my head is how do we look at everything going on and create opportunities? Anybody with me on this? Brad, you in? Okay. I knew you were going to say yes because that's just who you are today. You're just present and showing up. All right, so let's talk about some of the trends that we're seeing right here in the marketplace. According to the forecast, 2026 housing market trends, and let me share with you. I have the report on one screen, and I've got the slide on the other. It's that it says that the market is shifting into a more balanced and stabilized market after several years of volatility. And while home sales have slowed a little bit, that the improving mortgage rates and rising inventory are starting to make buyers come back to the marketplace. Are you seeing that, Stephanie?
Yeah, I am actually, Verl. One of the ways that I've been like describing this market to people as we've been talking about it right now is, I've been seeing it's sort of like a big theme. For me, I look at it as like the market is recalibrating, right? It's recalibrating and we're starting to see not necessarily a reset, but like a normalization because, it's taking time. It's, over years, but not months because we have had so many extreme market changes, right? In the past, if you think back, even recent past few years, there's been extremes in our market, right? So I kind of been referring to it as a recalibration based upon what we're seeing in there. And yes, we're seeing different things in the market in different areas, of course, but overall, in generalization, we're starting to see things where, houses are on the markets a little bit longer, days on market, but inventory is increasing, slowly increasing in some areas. And I think we're also starting to see a little bit of more confidence in some buyers, the buyers that are truly educated and entering in today's market.
So I'm going to take an approach in this conversation to be maybe a little bit from a different lens. Is that okay?
Mhm.
So I'm going to challenge the experts for a minute. I think that there's agents are starting to see things. Buyers are coming back to the market. That like we have people that have been killing it for the last 2 years and having their best years ever in
Mhm.
difficult markets or challenging markets. And so I think that what is going on with the market is that it's not that the market's changed. It's that the agent's engagement is focused on the wrong things and they're not doing the things they need to. I always look at the attitude that if you ask me what my business model is, Stephanie, I'd say my business model is I try and find the money and put myself in the middle of it.
Right.
Now, so in every market in real estate, there's deals that are happening. The market didn't disappear. People didn't stop selling houses. I get on a coaching call and somebody would say to me, "Hey, Verl, everything's just stopped. Like no one's listing anything." I'm like, "Really? No one is listing anything anywhere?" And the first thing I have them do is pull up your MLS. Let's have a look. Pull up the last 30 days. 4,200 houses sold. Well, somebody listed something. It just wasn't you. And so it's not that the market disappeared. It's that the activities or where we focused disappeared. And so we have to change our focus. This is me saying, like, I get it. The market might be different if you look at averages. And if you're a company with a huge, massive number of agents, then you ebb and flow with the market because you've got a big group. But when you're an individual agent or you're a small team, you can control your outcome in your environment. Do you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. It's all based upon the activities that you put in place and the systems that you use in order to leverage, in any situation that you're at. I think the one thing that I've always loved about real estate is that it's never the same, right? Like the market is truly, always going to be the market, and you shift and you adjust and you work it according to what the market is there right now. Like you said, there is a lot of opportunities out there. And I think it's just a matter of, well, like you just said, Pearl, we have people killing it, and they're killing it because they're focused on the energies, they're focusing their energy on where that opportunity may lie for them. And a lot of it, when you look at today, at least what I've been seeing, is the professionals that are out there that are really working their databases and their sphere and keeping their relationships nurtured and connected are the ones that, like you're talking about, that are killing it because they're knowing exactly where they should be focusing in on.
All right, so here's what the article will say. The article says this. It says that the housing inventory in 2026, the recovery is underway, but it's a long road ahead. What does that feel like to you when somebody says, "Hey, we're starting to recover"? Okay, Kimmy, but there's a long road ahead. What is the emotion that they're trying to create in us as agents? What do they want
Fear.
us to feel?
Yeah, I think they're trying to
Fear,
make us fear,
absolutely
right?
fear.
Face fear and deal with fear and uncertainty, which again portrays to the consumer and to the public, unless, we're out there ones making sure that we get the right message across that that's not what it is, right? It's not
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, Kimmy, you came on and said fear, and you're right on the money. Is I think that the press and even the industry itself likes to create justification for wallowing in mediocrity. And so, because the average agent only produces a few transactions a year, they want to say it's okay because the market's slow and that opportunities are down, but it's okay. It's a long road ahead. Um, what I think of when I listen and hear this is I think, okay, that means that they're creating this massive group of agents, brokers, and teams. They're going to set aside the activities that help them be successful, and they're going to wait. And they're going to wait out the long market. How many times have you heard recently? And I don't know if you're hearing this, Stephanie, but I've heard so many people say that I don't want to go through another downturn. I don't know if I can do it again. And they're selling their brokerages. They're changing the way that they're doing things. Look, Kimmy, you're nodding your head, right? And use the chat button too if you have a comment as I'm talking through this stuff. It's not unusual right now to hear people say, I'm not doing this again. Lots of people want to be panelists, so I appreciate you doing that. We're getting people set up on that. So um, when transaction volume is lower and inventory is slower to return, and agent competition, I think, is greater competition for fewer properties. What that means to me is it means that most agents don't understand that people don't buy and sell houses because of interest rates, and they don't buy
Right.
and sell houses because of the class action lawsuit, and they don't buy and sell houses because of the war in Iraq. What they do is they buy and sell houses because of life events that occur. These life events are continuing to occur regardless of the things going on in the marketplace. The people, like we call it the river of real estate. And the river real estate is, they get married and they need a
Right.
place. They get divorced and they need two places. Somebody passes away and the big house has all the memories. They've got their family is all moved out and they got two people living in a massive home or they have to downsize. Customers, yeah, you're right, Kimmy. That's true on the lawsuit. They don't really understand or know about it, but we created all this big madness around it, and it was a reason why nobody engaged in anything. The river of real estate continues to create opportunities for people to move. What we have an opportunity to do that's different is message to the market in a way that gives them hope and gives them a light and gives them the ability to see something that the news is not telling them. Buckle down and don't sell because rates are stable is not a positive message to the consumer. It's we can help you find a home regardless of rates, and I can show you the interest rate offset system that allows you to offset the interest rate by the appreciation that you'll get in the higher price over the next several years. There's lots of things that we do for that. So there's tools and resources that we create. This is kind of an interesting one about the market share. Talk about what's going on with market share happening. I'm just going to give it to you, Stephanie, and see how you do.
In regards to the average agents where we're seeing those, shrink and top agents grow, that is true. I mean, one thing I want to add though, overall to what you were talking about previously real fast is, it's really instrumental if you sit back and you even evaluate your own production, right, as an agent. And you go back, one of the things is when you sit down and you're meeting with your clients, the first thing you ask is, what's your reason for moving, right? What's the reason that you need to sell today when you're sitting down with a seller? And if you sit there and you look even at your own production and you go back and you see most of those that you will see with the reason why they're selling is because of things you just mentioned, Verl. The river of real estate, which is honestly one of my favorite modules in our shift. So I think if you really look at that and you even just look at your own book of business, it's really important to see that that's why people move. That's why people are making changes. And it's for job relocations, it's for downsizing, it's upsizing. Today we're also seeing a lot, like this is something I noticed in my own when I went back and looked, multi-generational living,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You have so many people moving in together because we're going back to what, my parents always told me. That was like the 50s. That was in the 1950s, very popular to see family, or multi-generational living. So I think it's key for everybody who's, out there and doing this business and boots on the ground every day to go back and even look at your own production because you'll see that what we're talking about is really, it's there. It's truly there. And that is why people move. And Verl, back to, I didn't want to go back, but I didn't want to forget to mention that because I think that's a really key exercise for people to even see it on their own, the reason why. Um,
I agree. I agree with you. The opportunities are everywhere.
yeah,
You- Um, Here's one of the things I think AI is making a big change in the marketplace. People don't even realize it yet, and it's not like you think it is. Most people are using AI, Stephanie, as a better search tool, getting more information or access to data. But what's really happening is average agents are operating out of a place of fear, and they're trying to keep what they have. And innovation is happening at the speed of thought. And with AI and agentic AI and the things that we're able to do today, you're going to see top agents take greater market share because they're implementing tools and systems and processes that create leverage that allow them to do more with fewer resources. And we're starting to see that. And there's going to be this big, massive market share that transfers from, a whole bunch of agents doing a few deals to a few agents doing a whole bunch of deals. And they're going to be the teams that I think are going to blow away. They're going to blow away. We already have small teams of 15 and 20 that are out producing offices of 200,
yeah.
and they're doing it because they're using different systems, technology tools. So there's this really cool opportunity. So the question that this slide uh, asks is simply this, and I want you all to think about this: which side of this market share transfer do you want to be on? The giving up of market share or the capturing of market share? Because you can't be in the middle. You're either gaining or you're losing. There's
Right.
no middle ground here. And you have the ability, I believe, to choose. You get to choose. I'm not going to choose it for you. I can't make you do it. I can't show up and tell you that, um, um, I can't create penalties if you don't do it or contests if you do. I just have to ask you to look at your own business and stop thinking like a realtor who loves houses. And I want you to think like an operator, think like a CEO of a company that says, I need to know what the future holds. And I really want you to look out 3 years from now, like what is going to change in the way that I approach business over the next 3 years that is going to put me in a position to be incredibly different than I am today. What are the things that we need to change? So I'd like to talk about that for just a minute. What are some of the things that you think are going to create the biggest opportunity in the marketplace, Stephanie? What are you seeing out there in your international vision now?
I think, Verl, I always do think there's a huge difference when, realtors make sure that they're the ones in their marketplace and in their community to be the person that's the professional that everybody goes to in their area, right? Specializing in their areas, their marketplaces, their neighborhoods, really strategically working in those locations because you want to become the trusted advisor. So I think when you're a trusted advisor out there in the consumer, because today, let's face it, most of them aren't making very quick decisions, but they're making trusted decisions, right? So they want the information, they want to know what's going on in their marketplace. And in turn, the consumer, when they feel like they have the proper guidance and, the right person they're helping them through, they're the ones that are making the decisions to move forward. Because I don't know about you, Verl, but one of the things that I always say to people is I've never had anybody say, I've always heard people say, God, I wish I would have bought that house 2 years ago. Or God, I wish I would have done this, 4 years ago. No one has ever said the
Me,
opposite,
I've said that many times.
right? So I think if you put yourself out there as being that trusted advisor to the consumer, to your clients, you're going to be able to see great opportunity there because you're going to be their go-to person. And again, it's just like we always talk about, it's not just them, it's who do they know? How can you help the people that they know as well? When you're that person, that's who they're going to reach out to. So I think we need to really like work that and learn like what's going on in those neighborhoods and what's going on in, just the communities in general and be that individual to help create. And, it's the same thing like we talked about too in the past before. We are starting to see that, interest rates have kind of like, been hovering around that 6% now. And that's sort of been where they have been the lowest in almost 3 years. So with that doing it, I do believe that that's, creating some more buyer confidence because for people that have been in the business a long time, we know that any single digit interest rate is good.
I,
We've seen markets where the rates were different. So I think if we just keep talking about these opportunities that are out there, letting people know that things are, looking up. They're looking up, but it's all a matter of, where are you looking?
All right, you spurred a couple thoughts of me that I'm going to expand on for just a minute because I think that you're right on the money. I think how we show up as real estate agents needs to change. I think in the past that now I'm never going to go away from, I believe that real estate is a relationship first business, that we build relationships of trust and that our relationship capital is our most valuable asset. So what I'm about to say does not undermine that. That is, I believe the center and the core of everything that I teach is that I want an American Express black card in relationship capital. That is the value of your business, of the relationships that you have. That said, a lot of people have multiple relationships with multiple realtors. And so you can't rely on just the relationship to be your differentiator because they know you and like you and trust you. You now have to show up differently. And I'm going to say that it's moving from a generalist to a specialist. And it's instead of being someone who also does homes as a sideline, it's that I specialize in your type of home or property or ranch or luxury or multifamily or strip mall or commercial. There's so many different specialties in real estate. When I want you to think about when you've got a financial advisor and the financial. I have a guy, his name's Shane, who is my fractional CFO. He's a financial advisor and he comes in and helps me make strategic decisions on the business. And I know that Shane is wealthy. I know that he's invested from the time he was a young man. He's put money away. He's done all the things that he teaches. And now he's got really legitimate wealth, retirement wealth. But every time he meets with me, he puts a suit on, he puts a sport coat on, sometimes a tie, not a tie all the time anymore. And he shows up dressed for success like he has to earn my business every time we meet. And I want you to think about how it is you show up and what's the perception of the consumer and their realtor. And I believe that the relationship is critical if we show up as a trusted advisor, as a true professional, not as someone who does real estate on the side that also does, whatever other things you do in your business. And when you specialize, that's where you start creating separations in in the comparison between one agent and another. I guarantee you that I don't know when you go to the doc, Brad, you can nod and give me a thumbs up or not, but you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that you've got to have back surgery, and he's your general practitioner. Are you going to let him do it? You let your general practitioner do your back surgery? The answer is like, no, you're going to go to the neurosurgeon who does back surgeries and only does back surgeries on the part of the spine that you need help on. And you want that specialty. And Kimmy, that's how the consumer is being trained right now in every area of purchasing is that we all want specialists. I mean, we go to a specialist for our special kind of shoe. We go to a specialist for our hair, nails, makeup, Botox. We have specialists for different areas of skincare and health. We have specialists for exercising. We have specialists for speed. We have other specialists for strength. The opportunity, I believe, in real estate is not because the market is easier, but because we're going to show up differently in the market and create specialty. And Kimmy, you nailed it. Your specialty is in seniors and probate. That's a massive growth market. It's massive. And when you show up and say, I do all things for all people, it's not cool. When you say, I help seniors transition and make sure they keep their wealth into the later years in their life, and I help families with probate make difficult decisions on real estate to support the estate, it changes the conversation because they know that that's what you specialize in. I love that you do that. Um, there's going to be this. There's already a big massive shift of agents leaving the business. Are you guys seeing that? Or agents going into models where they're not taught to sell real estate. They're taught to find other people that want to sell real estate. There's no transactional focus. And I'm not saying everybody's one way or another. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people out there that don't understand that nobody gets paid if houses don't get sold. And when they realize it's harder than they think, they get out. A lot of people that entered during the 2020 boom are now leaving the industry. Their clients and past relationships, they don't disappear. They just become nomad. They become wanderers. They are looking for relationships. And so, what are you doing to adopt the database of exiting agents, whether they're new and getting out, or whether they don't want to weather the storm, or whether they want to exit? So, I'm just going to say that that's an opportunity, isn't it?
It is. It's a great opportunity, actually, to even for agents to go out there and, some of the people that they may have done a co-op with, even at one time or another, to reach out to them if they are exiting the business and have a conversation with them.
This slide is what our last coaching call was about as I wrapped up and came into this one, where the goal was to go from where they currently are to, I mean, they have 13 active listings. And in order to hit their goals this year, they got to maintain 30, which means I need 30 active and 30 coming soons all the time. So we're going to keep 30 coming and 30 coming soons all the time. Listings aren't returning. Listings are returning, but if you're not getting them, it doesn't matter. Like if listings are coming on the market, but they're not yours, who cares? You're like everybody else trying to sell one house that's out there. You've got to own the inventory. And so you have to decide how you're going to show up and what you're going to do to generate those listings. You have to go out there and be proactive about putting yourself in the place where when people think about it, they think of you. If you're not doing that, you're going to miss this whole opportunity that exists in a limited inventory market. And agents who get really good at their listing skills right now, what's going to happen is there's this big pent up demand that's going to get unleashed. We saw it with COVID, and it just boom, it opens up. And if you don't perfect your listing systems, you aren't having the conversations, you're not getting in front of the people, you're not messaging differently and showing up as a professional. When that big bounce happens, you're going to be scrambling, wondering why your friends are listing with other people. So what do you do? Like Stephanie, tell me, like how do you position yourself today so when that onslaught happens, you dominate, you don't play catch up?
Well, one of the ways, again, just like we're saying, Viral, is always show up as the professional that you are, make a point of being out there and, keeping in constant communication, right? Whether it be directly with them or others. And, something else that has always been, advantageous is that if you work on the listings that you currently do have as well, right? And you utilize those listings to be out there as that listing specialist, as being the person that knows how to get a property sold and does all the right things and promotes the property, to get it sold and get the results that the sellers are looking for, that speaks volumes across the board, right? We always say that every time you get a listing, you need to utilize that listing to leverage yourself to go even further into the market, right? To get more listings from an existing listing. But it's all a matter of any way you twist or turn. It's about the conversations that you're having. It's about the people that you're in front of. How many times are you face to face with people out there? How are you networking? What are you doing? Are you letting people know it is what you do? Like it's true. I mean, I love something that, and I always, refer to this, and I've caught myself saying this even more, but, Rick Jiha used to say all the time, the job as a realtor is every day you have to find somebody who wants to buy or sell a house. So in order to do that, you need to be out there having conversations, right? And that does differentiate the top producers from the average agent. The top producers put time in their calendar and they schedule those opportunities to be out there having conversations. It's important to your business.
Yeah, I was looking for a document that I just built. Let me see if I can open it really quick. So I'm going to tell you because we were breaking it down into the actual matrix that have to happen. Okay, so this is what we figured out. By the way, I don't know if you've ever done the math on this, but does anybody want to know what it takes to generate 60 listings in 90 days? You guys want to know what it takes? I don't know if your coach is doing this with you, but if your coach isn't helping you figure this kind of stuff out, you may not be in the right place because this is all we do is we figure out what the goal is or what the constraint is, and then we reverse engineer on how to get there, and we reverse engineer it. And so, for each of the agents on the team, they have to identify 5 people per week that they have conversations with. They got to secure 2 to 3 coming soons in the next 30 days. So it's just two or three. That they have to hold 2 open houses a weekend. They have to have 5 to 10 serious seller conversations per weekend as a result of marketing around those listings, knocking doors, meeting people. Um, the 30-day metrics are 150 to 200 conversations, 10 listing appointments, and 4 signed listings every 30 days. So I have to sign 1 a week, and you'll get there. And this is with 5 people that are focused on that. And so what we decided is that we wanted to stop thinking about how do we get there and what are the things that we want to do as a group to create accountability to generate the result. And so this is what we decided, that every day at the end of the day, you have to send an email to the group that says how many conversations I had, how many follow-ups were created, how many appointments were set, how many appointments were met, how many listings were signed, how many coming soons were secured. And it comes out with your 1 sentence win and 1 sentence challenge. And the goal is to have 5 people all working together that when somebody falls short, the others pick up and help them. So the idea is to help one another achieve that goal. So listings are returning, but if you're not focused on going after them and messaging to them and being strategic about getting them, then it doesn't matter because you're going to be like everybody else with a buyer trying to sell the same few homes. Let me see what's showing. Are you seeing my full? Let me open. I should be seeing my slideshow like that. Sorry. That look better?
Yep, you're back.
All right. And so agents who sharpen their skills are going to dominate the next cycle. This is the other thing, Stephanie, that I think is a big deal that I want to talk about is the article talked about how millions of homes are locked in and they're waiting for someone to help them. There's like this pent up demand and they're sitting on these low interest rates, but they don't feel like they can move forward because rates are at 6. So I got a 3, I got to move to a 6. They don't want to move, but they feel like they need to. So the life event has occurred. They know they need to move, but they're afraid of a higher monthly payment for a smaller house. They're uncertain about what the market's going to do next, and they're confused about what their options are with their equity. And so this is where I see the greatest opportunity is to understand that these emotions are real and that if we message to the emotions or the problems that people are having and we communicate ourselves as options dealers where we're not trying to get them to buy or sell a house or list a house. All we want to do is show up and give them all the options. So whatever they decide, they are the most informed person in the transaction. That's what I believe it means to be a trusted professional. Brad, I'm not going to make you move. I'm just going to give you all the options. And one of the options is don't do anything. And I'm great with that option. Another option might be we do a seller financing deal. Another one might be we do it and turn it into a rental or a short-term rental. There might be a way we pull your equity out of it and buy another property. So now you've got twice as much real estate appreciating at a higher value. There's so many different things that we can do. I just need to understand what it is that is keeping you where you are when you've mentioned that you've got life events that have caused you to want to move. Once we understand what their challenges are, then we can build messaging around that.
I think a lot of consumers out there, Viral, like what you're just discussing about that have those rates, I don't think they realize, like sometimes you'll hear from them direct, the conversation is, well, I'm not going to do anything. I have a 2.75 interest rate. I don't even have a choice.
Right?
You do have a choice. And I
Yeah.
think it's our position to be out there, just like we keep saying, as being those advisors, explaining to them, like you just said, the choice could be don't make a decision, don't move. I mean, your decision is you're staying, right? But you also have, A, B, C, and D are possibilities for you. A lot of them don't even know they have choices. And that's what our job is, to have those conversations, right? And sometimes it's as simple as making a phone call to somebody and saying, hey, I understand that you have this locked in low rate, but can we just sit down and have a conversation? Because I'd like to share with you a couple of things that I'm seeing in the marketplace that may be beneficial for you,
Yeah.
one way or another. You can either, utilize this information today or you can utilize this information in 2 years, but it's important for us to just keep in communication. More times than not, those conversations lead to a quicker turnaround with that client.
That's absolutely true. I want to say it's the having the confidence to have the conversation where you can give options.
Right.
And if you don't have the confidence to have the conversation, then you wait and see what the market's going to do, and you sit there and you're an order taker, not a real agent with the ability to actually affect or impact change. I think that I was thinking about what we did at coach training. Sorry, I didn't mean to just go up on the slide deck right here. We talked about why people get stuck and why they can't move. And I introduced this concept to our coaches that was the 5 C's, and it was the 5 C's that keep people from moving forward. And when you're not getting the result that you want, and our concept was as we develop coaches, I want you to think about your job is real estate agents is to sell homes, to list and sell properties. My job is to develop coaches who help people do better at that. Now, it used to be my job was to coach people, but that's not my job anymore. So I'm in business development and coach development, and it changes what you focus on. And we use the concept of a diamond and how there's the 4 C's like gut, clarity, um, carat weight that create a diamond. And we changed it to understand what it is that keeps people from engaging fully and doing the things that they believe they're capable of. Is there anybody on this call who feels like they're capable of performing at a higher level than they're currently performing at? Like my hand's up there. Yeah, okay, Michelle, thank you. I appreciate that. Michelle Rudder, Michelle LeBon, thank you. Um, Donna says, yeah, I appreciate the comments on that. Marvin, good to see you, man. They put up there. And so let me ask this question. I'm going to ask you the 5 C's, and that is to identify what your constraint is. What is the thing, the one thing that you believe that is keeping you from getting there? Is it clarity on what to do? Are you clear on what the next steps are? Yes or no? You have clarity on where the opportunities are and where to focus. The second C is capability. Are you capable of going to that next place? Do you have the capability to do it? That's a big question, isn't it? Sometimes we're capable of doing it. Sometimes we just don't. There's no more hours in the day. The way we run our businesses, there's no capability. The next is the context. Are we looking at the opportunities through the right lens to identify what context are we looking at the market? I love that Kimmy said early on that she focuses on retirement, community, and probate because when you look at the business through that lens, it's such a massive growing industry that she can't handle all the opportunity that's there. Think about that. It's massive. Isn't that true? You can't handle it all. And so when you focus through that a lot of people are looking at the business from a different lens and they see that there's not enough opportunity. And so we've got to get the context right. The fourth C, I want you to think about this one. Is it a confidence problem? Do you have the confidence to do 4 times the amount of business you're doing right now? Do you believe you're worth it? Do you have the value? Do you believe you have the infrastructure to be able to support that level of business? Do you have the confidence? If not, where do we get it? Do we do training? Do we do exercises? Do we need to build infrastructure? Is it a great operations manager? What is lacking in your confidence stack that allows you to aggressively go out and take market share right now? And then the last one, and I love you smiling, Brad. This is the big one, is that are you really committed to that goal? Are you really committed to the outcome? Do you have the commitment that it takes to be a champion, to perform at a higher level? a lot of people believe they're capable of it, but they aren't committed to the belief that it's actually possible. And sometimes it comes down to one of those, I'd say almost always, we can identify it in one of those five C's. And that's, I guess that's what the power of having a really good coach in your corner will do, is they help you see where those constraints are. And then we focus really strong on 90-day goals and what are we going to do over the next 90 days to make sure we're moving the needle. All right. So, in slower markets, referrals become a more valuable currency. Is that true?
Yes, but Verl, can I add something again? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I want you to. You're a color commentary. You add as much as you want.
I'd hate to interrupt you. You're just like going and you're like giving out all this great information. I think it's amazing anytime you're out there like this speaking. I mean, honestly, this is gold that you bring out to everyone. We so appreciate you, Verl. It's true. But I will tell you one of the questions that you asked me a couple of years ago is you said, "Hey, Stephanie, if your business was to double next month, are you ready for it?" That was a huge question when you asked me that, right?
Yeah.
Talk about confidence, clarity, all of them, commitment. It was like a huge eye opener, right? And I said, Verl, I will be ready. I'll make sure
Yeah.
I'm ready. But you flat out asked me that question. And I think if we ask ourselves that question, that's something that will really make you start to, look at your business in a way that helps you move that needle significantly forward.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. And I like another way to phrase that question. I look at everybody on video and I ask it like this, Veronica. Think about this. If your business went and let's say it quadrupled in the next 30 days, what would break first? What would be the first thing that would break? You can go to chat and tell me what that would be in your own business. And Kim, you do the same thing. Like what would break, James, if your business, however, as good as you are right now, if you went 4 or 5 times the volume and now all of a sudden you've got all these listings, all these buyers, what's going to break? What would fall apart first? And I'm curious to see what you put in here. What would be?
Mm,
Oh, your fault. Kim,
all of
I'm so
us.
glad you put that. That is so true.
Yeah,
The first thing is we stopped following with the B and C leads because we only work with the A's.
A's. Yep.
What else?
Lead gen.
Going after new business. Your prospecting that got you busy in the first place would go away,
Right.
and you'd stop doing that. What else? Um, Tracy, finally, somebody with some truth.
Tracy,
He's
that
like,
is
I
an
would break.
accurate statement.
I would break. Yeah, think about the service. Think about the client care. When you were new as a new agent, you only had two deals. Think about how you poured into every client and all the things you did for them. You were in their yard pulling weeds. You were helping them paint stuff. You were shaking out the carpet. You were baking bread to make the open house smell good. And as you've gotten busier and busier, what's happened is some of those things that created your greatness it started going away. And we get to the place where we basically do the minimum we need to do to get paid at the closing table. And so what if you could offer that same high level of service and not compromise the relationship stuff and the things you did that made you great and still do 4 times the business? And what if I told you that um, at 4 times your business today, Marvin, you'll actually be working less than you are today? Because you can't get there by doing what you're doing. You have to do things differently. You have to have different systems. You have to have people doing different activities. You have to use technology and AI to delegate. And so, what it forces you to do is it takes your hat off that says, I'm a realtor, and put your hat on as a CEO and says, I'm going to build a business that supports a lifestyle instead of the business that has become my life. And that's the impact that looking for opportunity in a down market will have on you if you decide to take the challenge. And so, this whole concept of repeat and referral business, we teach a concept called the top 50. This is something you can do if you do a strategy session with us. We'll give you the top 50 system and we'll show you how to do it. And our clients are getting as many as 80 transactions a year, working with 50 people, 1 hour a day. And it works in every market. And we just do the same thing over and over and over again. It's a higher level of execution on basic fundamentals. We don't pop by with jars of jam like that. It's not who I want to be in the world of real estate expertise. And I love people to teach the concept. For me, there's a different level that I want to be viewed in as a real estate professional. And so I want you to pop by, but I want you to give them something that really is helpful and meaningful to them. You can still give them your jam if you make great jam, but make sure you're positioning yourself as an expert in the business. It's our most valuable asset. All right. So where do agents screw it up?
Hmm.
Where do they screw up?
I think too many agents rely on paid leads in the business. They shortchange themselves. Like you just said, slide previous, Viral was your top 50. Your top 50 can bring you any amount of business you want it to if you work it properly, right?
Yep.
So I think that's where a lot of agents are. They're referring, they're actually making more decisions to go out and buy paid leads than they need to,
Oh
right?
my gosh, they'd rather pay 40% for a Zillow lead than call one of their friends from high school.
Yes, right,
Like I'd rather pay 40% to and work with a stranger than reach out to someone who rejected me in high school. Now,
right,
I love those rejection conversations because look at me now. I mean, I was such a dork in high school. Everybody rejected me. And so, to be successful later in life, it's so fun to go back and have people go, well, I missed that one. Yep, you did. Yep, you
right.
did. Colleen was smart. She got me. I was 15 and she was 12. And she says, I like that one, and we've been married 40 years now. And so I'm so lucky to have that in my life. But I'm telling you, the opportunities don't go away just because the market changes. Um, Agents don't chase business; they create systems that develop and create business. I'll tell you when it comes to buying leads and stuff, Stephanie, that if I were your coach and like some of you on the call are coaching clients, many of you are not, I would tell you this, that before we lead with revenue, not expense. So before you go spend any money, if you're not doing 50 or 60 deals just out of your database, you're not doing it right. So let's fix that first. So what if that's all we did in the next 90 days is we fixed your referral pipeline and your channel so that you had a constant flow of new business coming in that was zero cost lead gen? Anybody open to that? Like, let's just do that. And then when
Right.
we're done with that and we've got it all dialed in, then let's get some help at then executing operational excellence so that we can then double that. And we'll double that. And like, I don't, oftentimes I've had teams where we get to way over seven figures before we ever turn on any paid lead generation because there's so much opportunity out there. Every time you list, we generate more opportunities because we market differently. We do open houses, we knock doors around, and we do the things that everybody knows they should do. We just do it with a high level of precision. And now with some of the technology and AI we have, we're doing it even better and faster. So that's just um, that's the that's the way that I look at the business anyway. The agents who build the systems, they win. Systems first, assistants second.
Right. You know what else, Farrell? I think when we were talking about what some agents are doing that are, not necessarily in their best interest to get the production that they're looking to obtain, right? Is something else, just what you touched upon a little bit as well, is agents have a tendency, especially because of our business and the industry that we're in. Everybody's trying to come to you and say, hey, we have this, we have that. It's like the next shiny object, right? Agents do get distracted because they're going for like what they think is the quick fix,
Right?
and able to give them production sooner than later. But again, just like you said, and just going back to looking at who it is they know and where they can specialize in to create those opportunities for them is amazing. Right. Like, and you know what? It's
100%.
funny, Verl, because we know this and we see this, and so many of everybody on the call does too, and they see it, but it's once someone realizes it, it's like truly a light bulb does go off, and they could take a deep breath and a sigh of relief because their business is generating the business that they always knew it could, right? They just didn't have the systems in place
So
and
true.
the discipline in place either to do it, right? It's the commitment. And once that's done, I love when you get to see somebody do that. And I love being able to, be part of that with them. So it's a great opportunity. It's a win-win all the way around if they just start focusing on the right activities.
What I see in almost every leader that really has a successful business, and if I define top producer, it's defined by net profit, not gross closed income. The most profitable businesses have in common. They have anything they do three times, they have a documented system for it, and they run that system consistently. They have strong relationships built over years. Not, they're relationship focused, not transaction focused. They collect relationships. They have consistent listing generation. They focus on the one thing that drives the entire business, and that is listing inventory. If you have a business that is all focused on buyers and generating buyer leads, you're volatile. It's a high turnover business and it's a high risk business. But if you understand and know how to go after the listing side of the business and develop it, it's sustainable and it's leverage. Um, I have all numbers on this, but I don't want to go into it because I realize how much time we have. And then a referral pipeline that compounds every month. We're growing this group of raving fans, and they are constantly driving new business to you as you share with them. These are the things that every common top producer has. And you'd think I would say that they have this it factor, and they show up differently. Like some of the most successful people are the most average looking people you've ever met. They just do the right things consistently at a really high level. Success does not look like one person or another. It's not where you were raised. It's not how you grew up. It's not the color of your hair, your skin, or who you love. I see people in every environment successful, and I see them in every environment average. The difference oftentimes isn't their talents, but it's the habits that they show up with and do every single day, and it's the systems that they run consistently. That's the difference between average and exceptional. Like you get to choose how you show up in the world. It's not how you were born. Like I'm about as average a person as you'll ever meet, and I come from an average family with lots of challenges. And uh, my mother told me not to go to college. I wasn't that smart. Like I'm just not that smart of a kid. And so, like, what mother says that to her child, right, Jimmy? My mom did, and she's right. I wasn't. Really, I was such a high. I had such high um, attention deficit that all my teachers thought I was a problem. But back in the 80s, that was like not a thing. They give kids squish balls and fidget toys, and they show up at school with all these things. Me, they just took me to the principal's office and said, "Stop being a bad kid." And I was just fidgety, that's all. And so as I've gotten older, I've learned that that's a superpower. It's not a negative thing. It's what allows me to multitask and to see things and to have a vision that spins out of control and allows me to create. And that's been a great thing. So what they have in common is I learned that if we focus on the right thing, that greatness is predictable, and so is average. Your business, it exists. I mean this to everybody that's on this call. I want you to know the business is here. It lives inside of your relationships, and we can activate that. You can activate that right now. The question is whether or not you have the system to be able to do that. And if you don't, then just raise your hand and schedule a time to meet with one of my consultants, and we'll give it to you. It's not hope. My boat doesn't run on hope. It runs on gas, Marvin. I need gas in the boat, not hope. And so we got to make some money. And I appreciate the hand raise, man. I'll give you a QR code and you just schedule an appointment with us. Come see us. I'm going to open up for a couple of questions too. I've got to get to in the next 30 months, in the next 36 months, we have this really big window, Stephanie. And markets like this are going to continue to shift and change and do different things. But we have this really small window where we can separate ourselves from the entire industry that's wallowing in mediocrity, and we can build something really special. We can create the right kind of team with the right kind of technology and the right kind of systems. So when everybody else quietly is sunsetted from this business, we're sitting at a place looking at the innovation that's happened and being part of the change instead of being a victim to it. And I hope that that's how you look at your business and the opportunity that sits right here. Two types of agents in the market. You can sit on the
Yeah.
sidelines and wait and hope the phone rings and react whenever it comes, or you can build. And if you're one of the ones who wants to build, you want to capture market share, you want to create your own momentum, then you choose to be that agent. Then build a strategy with us. We'll help you. We are really good at this, and we're really good at finding opportunities when everybody else is trying to figure out what to do next. Is that not true, Stephanie? Tell me if that's true or not.
Oh, it's true. I can attest to it personally, professionally, every which way, and I've also fortunate to see a lot of clients, have the same results. It's amazing. It really is.
Well, I'm honored to be part of your journey. The difference between you and a lot of people is you do the work. Is you don't just look at the theory, you actually put in the effort. Like if you're not willing to put in the work, it's okay. Just tell me that up front, and we don't have to go through the pain of trying to make you do something you don't want to do. But if you
Right.
really are willing to put in the work and you're willing to follow the system, you're willing to plug in the predictable things, then schedule a session. And we're not going to give you a big pitch. We'll just see where you are. We'll see if we can identify where you're leaving money on the table. And if we can create a roadmap that'll help you solve it, then you say, let's go. And if you want to go, then we'll help you. Either way, we'll leave you with a more clear path on what to do next to help grow your business. My challenge to all of you is to get up and to form great habits that will give you the outcome that you want, not the outcome that you're currently getting. And if you'll do that, you'll have amazing success going forward. I'm going to take a minute, just like open up the call to any questions that any of you have. Um, Marvin, I can't wait to talk to you, man. Like you'll talk to probably one of my sons, have a conversation with them. And if at some point we get to have an opportunity to chat, I'd love that. If anybody have any questions, take a minute and go in and type them in for me. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. And okay, so all right, that's great. What AI system for realtors can be trusted and used for efficiency? All right,
Mhm.
so that's a big one because it's not one. It's what AI really works. I would have you look at Renegade CEO and just Google that because what they do is they help you build agentic AI using a multiple of different AI tools, and they have an entire AI coaching program that is for real estate on setting up your stuff with the right AI tools. And they're no bull crap. They don't give you a bunch of theory. They mastermind with the top people. They help them with that. So it's called Renegade CEO coaching, and it's powerful. The guy who runs it is Isaiah Colton, and I think he's phenomenal. I use Chat GPT. I use Gemini. I use a company called Manus. We code with Claude Code. We also use Notebook LM. And so it's not what AI works. It's what AI do you need for what application in the moment. And that's the hard thing that you need to try and figure out. And that's what Renegade CEOs help me do. So if that's helpful to you, hope that answered your question. Okay, so that was AI question. Okay, other questions. Anybody else have a question for Big V? You can ask me anything. Yeah, I'll give you 60 seconds. Ask Verl anything. Or Stephanie, you want what's going on in Jersey? Ask Stephanie. She's got the world by the tail and swinging it with her new role with Fathom. We're so excited to see the incredible impact she's going to make on that cool company. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for your engagement and for interacting with me and having fun. I love what I do. I love the industry that we're in. I love the opportunities being created, and I just hope that you're able to buckle up and come along for the ride because it's going to be a great one over the next couple of years. Everybody, thank you for being here, and Stephanie, thank you for being
Thank you,
awesome.
Verl. Hey, and Verl, don't forget you're coming to Jersey next week.
I know. I'll see you in a week.
See you in a week.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.